Good afternoon, CFM. This is Coach Matt with our Monday workout. We are going into the 4th of July week. So just remember there are some schedule changes that will occur later on in the week, and we are closed on the 4th of July. With that said, today we are doing some volume deadlifting, and then we'll have a couple alternate paths for you to follow at the end of the workout session today. So let's get right to it with 2 rounds of 90 seconds of your choice warm-up pace cardio. And then I want you to do some RDLs. You can do them with the band or you can do them with the barbell, but on the RDL, we're just keeping our hips up a little bit higher, not bending our knees quite as much so that we stretch the hamstrings out. And if you had a weight on the sides, I would like for the weights not to touch the ground when we do this one. So you have to stop the momentum downward with your hamstrings and keep your core and your spine braced the whole time. Next, we're gonna do some push-up to down dog. So this is just do your regular push-up, and everybody on the ground, if you need to use your knees to do this, that's fine. You don't have to do a strict push-up, but get to that down dog position and then get back to the plank. And if you do have a little bit of assistance needed to come up, I want you to try to go down to the bottom of the push-up position without using your knees. And then if you need knees, try to use them only on the way up. So push up to down dog is what that is. Next is a band pull down from overhead. So I've got the band mounted anywhere over my head, and I'm just gonna do sort of a replica of a pull-up, but we're just using a band. So it's a much lighter resistance, but we're still engaging all the muscles in the shoulders, all the muscles in the grips, the arms, and our middle back, right? And that is a goal for before we do our deadlifts. Next one, some practice hang snatches. That's gonna be one of the Metcon movements today. So whether you're gonna do the Metcon or not, I want you to practice some hang snatches just because it's good to work and to practice that hip to extremity movement pattern of the snatch or the clean or the kettlebell swing, all right? So from the knee position, we're gonna extend the hips and perform a dumbbell snatch. So this one, the main difference between the regular dumbbell snatch and the hang snatch is the starting position. So I would like for the dumbbell not to go below your knees, and this is gonna really force you to use your hips to drive that momentum upward in order to get the snatch and getting the dumbbell all the way over your head, okay? Next, we're gonna do ninja deadlifts. All right, the ninja deadlift is the standard version of the deadlift. So it's a conventional stance, conventional grip. And the only difference is when you touch the ground, I just want it to be silent. Okay, so that means control the tempo on the way down, especially as you contact the ground. So we are still touching the ground, we're just not making any noise. And if you would like to try a little coach's challenge element to this, you can do a band. So we add a band to the deadlift bar, and that can make it a little bit more challenging on the way up, especially at the top. It's called accommodating resistance. It means it gets harder the further away from the band attachment point that you move. So usually what happens is the hardest part of the deadlift is just cracking it off the ground and getting it to your shins. And then once you get it to like the mid shin position, usually we can lock it out, which means we have more mechanical advantage over that weight as we go past the knees. And so the accommodating resistance, either using bands or chains, can add more resistance in the range of motion that you are stronger in, and that can drive more overload to that exercise and help you to get more strength or more of a strength adaptation out of it, okay? So that's an option for you. Try it, see if you like it. If not, don't worry about it. You don't need to do it, okay? But everyone try to do the ninja deadlift today, which is a silent touch to the ground and a very slow, controlled tempo when you touch the ground, all right? That's gonna limit your weight, all right? 60 to 65%. When you're using a tempo, when you're going a little bit slower, it is usually when we will pull weight back from the percentage to enable you to maintain a good braced neutral spine while you're using a little bit longer time under tension and controlling your posture at all positions of the deadlift. All right, after your deadlift, rest 30 seconds. Then we're gonna do some single leg RDLs. You can do this with a dumbbell or a barbell, or a dumbbell, barbell, or kettlebell, but I would like to see a significant amount of load on this and try to keep your leg that's moving in sync with your torso, right? And we're not just reaching for the ground and just randomly touching the ground. I'm going to the end of my hamstring range of motion and stopping and then squeezing as I stand back tall. And then another little rest. And then we're gonna do this exercise called Bulgarian goat bag swing, which is just a silly name that Dan John came up with, this exercise, so he would know if anybody copied him. He made up something random and then said, like, let's see how many people I can get to copy this exercise. But it's a really good core and hip hinge exercise. So all three of these are hinging. This one, I'm gonna hold the kettlebell and I'm pulling it tight to my body. I'm like kind of trying to press it into my solar plexus, and then I'm just hinging forward. So the further I hinge forward, the more I have to engage the muscles in my upper back and my middle back back to keep that kettlebell from falling away from me. So I don't want to let it fall away from my body. I'm constantly trying to pull it in towards my solar plexus, and that really drives the engagement of the lats when I'm at that bent over position. And that's always good to have more lat engagement and more middle back engagement as you hinge forward, because that helps you to keep your spine braced no matter what position your body's in, okay? So those are our main exercise and our 2 superset exercises for today. We'll get through that at a moderate pace. The weight should not be that crazy. The movements are a little bit more volume, so it may take you a little bit longer, but it is also only 4 rounds, okay? All right, when we finish that, you have a couple options for either a Metcon or some accessory work. Your choice, if you wanna do one, if you wanna do both, if you wanna mix and match, or if you need some other type of additional accessory work for today, this is an appropriate block to place that into. The AMRAP for 10 minutes, Metcon style, if you want to do that, is 20 calories for the guys, 16 for the ladies. Then it is some hang snatches, so 20 reps of a dumbbell hang snatch, that's 10 per arm. And when you do this, I would like for you to alternate arms, so it's hips to overhead, hips to overhead, right? Alternating for 20 reps. The weight is not crazy, it's only 35 and 20 pounds. And then 6 reps of a hand release burpee. So that hand release burpee is exactly what it sounds like. So we go down to the ground, my hands must come up off the ground and then re-engage for my burpee. So it just kind of enforces a good bottom position of the burpee, all right? And that is our Metcon, is that triplet for as many rounds and reps as you can get in 10 minutes. If you would like to do some accessory work, this is just a slightly different path you can take. It's at a lower intensity, but it should still get you some pretty intense feelings in the hip and the hip muscles that we're going to target on this. So the first one is this hip swivel internal rotation. So I'm going to take my hip swivel position right here, and then if I need to elevate this leg up so that I can get some rotation, I will. But I'm going to try to keep this hip pinned in its place, and I'm just going to rotate until that heel comes up off the ground, or the inside of my ankle comes up off the ground like that, rotating like that, 8 reps. Very small movement, but we're hitting those internal rotators on that side, and then we're going to rotate to the other side and do the same thing. And you may find that one leg moves much better than the other one, and that's pretty normal, but try to get like a rotate up and squeeze and then relax back down, rotate up and squeeze and then relax back down. Next one is hip thrusts. And you can use a weight or no weight on these if you want. I recommend using the heavier benches. Don't use the tripod benches for this because they'll stay in place a little bit better. So put the weight in your lap, squeeze up until your body's parallel to the ground, and then back down. Knees at 90 degrees is generally pretty good for this. If you put your legs out much further than that, you get a lot more hamstrings involved. Still a good exercise, but just make sure you don't overextend your back when you do that. Next one will be 16 reps, your choice of sit-ups. You can do ab mats, you can do V sit-ups, but save a little for this exercise, which is hanging alternating leg raise, right? So I'll be just hanging from a bar, and I would like to, again, set my target with my feet like 2 feet in front of the bar so that I'm engaging my core and I'm kind of hanging in this hollow position. And from that hollow position, I'm just gonna alternate leg raise at about this pace. The knee bent is a little bit easier. The leg straight is a little bit harder, right? But that's about as high as you need to go, okay? So 20 reps at a slow pace, and that is it for the accessory circuit for today. So whichever one of those you wanna do, grab that. And as always, let us know if you need any modifications or scaling on it, all right? Have a great one. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.